Having a moped turns you into a moped-having person. It's not just a possession, because in order to have it, you need to ride it. And as soon as you're riding it, you are bonding with all these other people who are riding it.
When you're out riding your moped by yourself, you're nothing, but as soon as you get a bunch of people together and then you're a force in traffic and you can take over the streets.
Here in Kalamazoo, we're the Moped Elite.
My name's Simon King, and I'm 23 years old.
My name is Daniel Robert Weber-Kasner. I'm 24.
My name is Brian Phillips. I'm 22 years
My
old.
name is Erica Opeth.
My name is Dave Brzezinski.
My name is Bayer Gur.
My name is Brian Frame. I'm 24 years old.
My name's Chad Burke. I'm 24.
I'm 22.
I'm a Decepticon from Kalamazoo, Michigan.
My name is Brandon Eliason. I'm 20 years old. I'm in Janus branch of the Moped Army.
I'm Tom Schreiber. I'm from the Blue Shirt Holiday.
My name's Josh Dahl, and I'm 26 years old.
I drive a 1980 Motorbicane Moby 50V.
I have a Puch Maxi Speed 2, Maxi Sport 2, and also a Puch Newport.
My name is Miguel Centellas. I'm 27 years old, and I'm in the Kalamazoo Decepticon Moped Army branch.
Okay, I've got Puch 2-speed, Batavus Starflight, Batavus Regency,
79 Vespa Grand and a 77 Puch Newport.
76 Carabella.
1978 Pirelli Super Sport XL.
Vespa Grande, 1984.
A Sachs Hercules M4, a Sachs Hercules P1.
And a couple parts bikes from Cincinnati, Ohio, the Bombardment Society.
I'm with the Decepticons. I'm a Scout, HDFL, honorarily down for life.
I'm a Decepticon. I have right now a Samadhi City bike. It's blue, and it doesn't quite run.
The type of moped I drive is mostly a Samadhi City bike. It was originally a Concorde, but it kind of got tore up here and there, and I just had to replace things.
I usually ride my Bianchi Snark Eagle Deluxe, 1976.
I'm right now a substitute teacher.
I've been a DJ for like 6 years. I have a degree in ceramics.
I'm working on my master's in economics. I work as a social work aide.
I work at the museum.
I'm a graphic designer and do web design and programming.
Well, I'm a graduate student, actually, working on my dissertation.
Mopeds are pretty much my whole thing.
5 years ago that me and two friends of mine decided to start the Moped Army. And we started the first branch here in Kalamazoo, the Decepticons. And originally we actually just had the Decepticons name, and later on turned it into the Moped Army with the Decepticons as a branch of that.
Simon and I and Brennan also, we've always been really in the idea of a gang, right? But we didn't really want to have like a motorcycle gang or, you know, just a street gang or whatever. And we, at the same time, were getting mopeds, so we worked the two ideas into one thing, and we came up with the Decepticons. Yeah, it was just basically an excuse to form some sort of elitist group.
I was hanging out with a couple of friends of mine, Bill Babbitt, Dan and Simon, and Bill had just gotten a 70cc kit on a Puch. And he's like, oh, it's really fun, it's really fast, you should try it. And I said, I don't need a moped, I got a car. And he said, well, just try it, just go around the block. And I tried it, and it was really fast, and it was really fun, and I needed a moped.
I grew up with Simon and Dan, who were pretty much two of the main co-founders of it, and we moved to Kalamazoo together, and I lost touch with them for a little while, and then when I met them again, they had started a moped gang, so they sort of convinced me to get one, and Dan was a major part of getting my moped.
So the motivation to start it was basically we all had mopeds. We wanted to get people into mopeds, and we wanted to have start a moped gang and get people excited about it, and get our friends mopeds as much as we could. It's grown from there. We get so many branch reviews, like, I don't know, 60 to 70 a year, and most of them we don't really take that seriously just because they're a bunch of 15-year-old kids, or they have sprees, or they just don't seem dedicated to it. So we weed those out and generally get like one good new branch a year out of all those.
I was living in North Carolina, and Casey Beagle, who's my roommate now, called me up and said he'd been surfing the web, he found this crazy thing, these people who buy mopeds, and he was buying a moped, and I ought to too when I moved back to Cincinnati. And I said, you know, it's kind of weird, you know, whatever, but I came back and saw how much fun he was having, rode his, he had a Honda PA52, and it was a lot of fun, so we just looked around, found a lot of mopeds, and just got bigger from there.
Or I saw it on the search engine on the internet. I was looking for moped gangs one day, and I found it, and it's just amazing, all the information they had on the site, and I just thought I had to be a part of this. But I didn't know anyone else with a moped, and so I had a lot of trouble starting a branch. But I saw one day in my email that there had been a branch started like that week in my town. So there was 3 people that started a branch right in my hometown. I thought it was kind of all the places in the United States where it could be started, they started one in my town. So I called them up and asked if I could join, and they said sure.
Well, there was a branch in our area, and you know, they're my best friends, kids I've known since kindergarten, and 3 of them started the branch, and within, like, I guess the first year that they had it, I got a moped, or first like 2 years that they had it. I know we're the second oldest branch that there is right now.
If you take a look at like everyone today at the barbecue that had mopeds, I mean, they weren't able to go out to the store and just buy those. You know, they had to find those somehow and fix them up and like learn about them and really like take part in their vehicle. I think that's a big part of moped culture, that like this isn't just something you ride. I mean, it's something you really get to know and really have a commitment in. It's not just something that you can just get into by going to the store, you know. And the other thing is, like the moped versus other forms of transportation. To me, it's the perfect balance between a bicycle and a car. You're getting where you need to go in a timely manner, but you're not totally disengaged from your environment. I mean, you can stop quick and talk to people on the sidewalk. You can pull up and park right in front of where you want to be. It's a much more direct way to get around, much like a bicycle, but without the disadvantages of, you know, having to power that yourself. And so I think the culture revolves a lot around around not wanting to drive around in a big steel cage, completely, you know, just using roads as just a conduit from one place to another, you know. And I think a lot of times mopeders will just ride around with no destination because it's really the ride that's fun more than where you're going.
Moped culture, similar to skateboarding, it's just kind of, I don't want to say alternative sport, but it's something different. It's just an alternate means of transportation. It's just something a little bit different, a little unique. It has some class, unlike a Yamaha Raz, which is economical but no class. Mopeds, I think, look neat, they have a lot of class.
It's, well, 100 to 150 miles per gallon for starters, plus they're just, the way they're built is they're just aesthetically pleasing to the eye, and they're beautiful machines. They're just, plus, first time you ride one, it's just a magical feeling. You can't stay off of them. I don't know, there's just something really attractive about them.
I don't know, it's weird little things that come along while living the lifestyle of riding a moped, because, for instance, as you're riding and stuff, little things are gonna break or need adjusting or whatever, so you might find yourself carrying a side bag, whereas you didn't before. And I don't know, it's a weird kind of combination of style and mobility. Like, what's really cool about moped culture is, say you're hanging out with your friends, you're not really trapped in one place like you are with a car, right? You can all like go to one place, hang out there for like 15 minutes, and then zip across town and all be there in 5 minutes. Whereas with the car, it's a big pain in the ass trying to organize everyone, where's everyone meeting. There's so much freedom with being able to race around, yet at the same time it makes it really easy to get places as a group, even more so than like a van or a big car or something. So I guess it's just basically function and fun.
The amount of reaction you get from riding a moped is ridiculous. It's undeserved almost.
One of my favorite moped-related stories involves a guy who is not in Kalamazoo who got into a huge accident on his moped.
All right, I wasn't there, but I heard from someone and read the story on the webpage.
I don't know if you've heard of him, Reaper Ed. He had a pretty bad accident. It was a combined collision of about 70 miles per hour.
He was making a left turn at an intersection, and some jackass was just laying on the horn behind him like, go, 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 thinking it's a motorcycle when it's a moped and can't go 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. So against his better judgment, he turns left when a car's coming, and this guy's doing like 45, 50 miles an hour and just nails him. Goes this way, his moped goes that way, and his leg goes this way.
And he lost his leg in the accident, and he rebuilt his moped. After his moped was like almost busted in half or something, but he rebuilt it after the crash, and the crash he lost his leg in, and he rebuilt the moped from that crash.
Yeah, it gets worse though. You know, that's a really terrible thing to have happen to you. He has to go to the hospital for therapy, and he's in the hospital, and he comes out to find someone had tried to steal his moped. He's had frequent trouble with trying to steal his moped. He usually wears like a football helmet, pads, and has all kinds of like crazy like bird wire over the headlight because people throw bricks at him all the time, or like try to pull. They'll have a rope, you know, and they get on the other side of the road and pull it and just try to fuck his day up. So he's used to this. So he's in the hospital. He comes out after therapy to go get back on his moped and ride home. And they couldn't steal it. They couldn't get the bike rack off because they've stolen the bike rack in his bike before too. So they poured gasoline on his moped and set it on fire. So he comes out and it's all burning and smoldering. He's like, man, I can't walk. So that's my favorite moped story. Like the dedication that man has is hats off.
Every time a bike gets stolen, we call the cops so that, you know, it's official. But before they're even on the scene, we go out looking, because pretty much you have like 2 to 3 hours where you can count on the person who stole it riding it around or trying to get it riding or it being out in the open.
When I had my moped, when I owned it, it was like a constant fear. Like, what if someone takes my moped? Like, because it's all fun and games when it's someone else's. But as soon as I had one of my own, it was like, what if they can't start it and they decide to mess with the cable? What if? It was very discomforting.
We've had, I want to say, 23 or 24 mopeds stolen total. And right now I can only think of maybe 1 or 2 that haven't been returned. So I don't know if that's 98%, but it's really high. We invariably get them back.
That's almost always the case. Like, we've gotten all but 2 mopeds back, 2 or 3 anyways, and only once have the cops really recovered anything. We've always recovered it.
I had come to the point where I just like almost didn't even want to call the police anymore when my bike got stolen, which is standard procedure, because the police never recover it.
Every once in a while, the duly deputized, legally employed police force here in Kalamazoo gets to help us out. They get to, you know, they show up and they wave their lights and stuff, and they have a good time and they feel like they're helping out, but it's really just for show. They're just, you know, they drive the cars, they like to, you know, but they're not really necessary.
They don't have the passion for getting them back that we do, so I think vigilante justice is the only way.
Simon's moped got stolen on April 16th, about 4 years ago, and Dan, Simon, and I went out and got the moped back. It was quite an event.
It got stolen from the back of my house, and so we took off looking for it. And me and Dan were in the truck, and Josh Dahl was sitting in the back of it, and we were just combing the streets, looking for everything we could. We were passing out flyers about the moped being stolen. And see, the thing is, we've had tons of mopeds stolen, but this was like not only one of the first ones that was stolen, but it was, you know, my own bike, so I was pretty mad about it. So we're driving around and we see the guy who stole it. He's riding it really slow up on the sidewalk where we are, right? So I just pull my truck up right on the sidewalk, and I'm just driving straight on the sidewalk at him. He freaks out and cuts across the street, and goes into the parking lot of a funeral home. So at this point, you know, I'm not really thinking about the laws with my truck or anything. So I tear off after him through this yard.
We're going between houses, not even between 2 houses, and I'm looking over the hood of the truck, and I can't even see the moped. I can see a kid like looking back, and I yell out the window, and I honestly to this day think I saved this kid's life. I lean out the window and I yell, "Drop the moped and run, motherfucker!" And it was like the thought he didn't even like, it just entered his head like telepathy, like must drop and run, and whoom, and he was off. And
the guy, I basically hit the guy with my truck. He ditches the moped, gets out and takes off running, and so we're just running after him, like jumping over fences, following him, like total police chase style.
There was chasing, screaming, "Don't F with the moped army!"
We're chasing him. We're screaming at him not to mess with the moped army.
By the time I got around the corner, Simon was standing there talking to a police officer. By the time I got back to where the moped was, that same police officer pulled up with the kid in the back of the car.
And the stolen bikes are a weird thing, because I mean, it's awful when stuff's stolen, but then again, the chase to get them is really, really fun, as long as you get it back and it's in decent condition. So eventually the cops rounded him up, but yeah, that one hasn't been stolen since then, but one summer we did have 13 mopeds stolen in one summer. So that was 2 years ago. That was crazy.
I forget whose bike it was, but there was a bike stolen. And we were really organized that summer for some reason. So we kept getting phone calls or reportings where this kid was seen, right? So we scatter on the neighborhoods on bikes and in trucks, and we have these walkie-talkies. And so we're racing down this one road, and we see this kid turn, and he's going, and I'm in Simon's truck with him, and we follow the kid right into this park, right? And we're racing through this park, and this kid is riding. And we're kind of behind him, and he keeps looking back, and he's just having fun. And I don't know what he's thinking, to be honest. But like, I kind of jump out of the truck and take off running after the kid. And I run up beside him, and he's riding, he's like looking at me. And then I reach over and hit his kill switch while he's riding, and his bike just stops. And then like, we just swarm him. And like, everyone starts showing up, and it's pretty cool.
Dan had a couple kids take a couple of non-running mopeds off of a second-story porch in an apartment that he lived in, and he was sleeping, and he heard something rustling around, and he figured that it was someone taking his mopeds. So he runs outside wearing nothing but like a bikini cheetah print pair of underwear, no shoes, no socks, no nothing, and chases the kids down the block at full speed, and they were so freaked out by the fact that this guy was running after them naked. And Dan used to run track, so he's a really fast runner, and he didn't need shoes. It didn't matter. He was faster than they were because they were pushing the mopeds, and they just dropped the mopeds and ran away.
My Snar got stolen. Essentially, I left it overnight, actually over a holiday, but I think it got stolen right away. And right here, actually, at the space. And came back, moped's gone. So I went to my apartment, called the cops. The cops were there very, very quickly, in about 15 minutes or so. They were at my apartment. They took the report down. And then we basically all met up here, and we figured we'd search around here, thinking that maybe it was around here. So after about, I think, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, we found it behind this little alley. It'd been pretty banged up, but it was there, and it was fixable. So we're celebrating, dragging it back, celebrating. Call the police come, they verify it's the same bike that I reported stolen. They leave, celebrate, and then suddenly these little kids on bicycles just cut across and go right into that little alley. And so everyone just runs out, chase these kids down from the front, from the back, and they're shady because the first thing, without anybody saying anything to any of the kids, one kid drops his bike and goes, "Man, I didn't steal this." And so then basically like, "Did you guys steal a moped? Why are you guys back here?" And then suddenly just little kids scatter everywhere and running everywhere. So people just take off after them. And I have to admit, I was out of shape, and I was running, eating a bagel. And so I did not catch the kids who were on bicycles that I was after. But Dan and I guess Simon caught up with some kids, chased them into their neighborhood apparently, on cell phones, talking to the cops through the 911 operator, like, "We're turning left down whatever, we're going north on this road." And so the cops arrive. It's very kind of coordinated appearing. And all the kids confess, including to knocking off the gas station on the street.
A bunch of us were going out to get breakfast, and we went to the Main Street Cafe. And I was riding El Muerte Rojo Uno, which was my first Carabella, and it wasn't running quite right. And so we were leaving to go, I think we were going to go repair mopeds or something. But everyone was leaving, and I was kind of left behind. So I started my moped, and it started really well. And I started riding it around, but it would not go any speed at all. Like, I would have to basically pedal it while it was running because the back brake was gripping. And the whole time I'm trying to fix this, there's these 3, I'd say 10 to 12-year-old kids hanging around me, and they're just all over me. Like, "Man, what's wrong with your moped? Can I have that?" All this stuff. And I'm like, "No, man, I'm trying to get this working." And they just won't give me any relief. So I pedal it around the corner, right? And I'm kind of in a not shady area, but there's definitely no one around, and I'm totally away from traffic and everything. And I have it up on the kickstand, and I'm working on it. And this kid, I'm taking my sweater off, and this kid jumps on it, and he grabs the throttle, and like he's gonna ride it away. And I slap his hand. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And then they go crazy. Like, they're all like, "Man, don't be hitting my brother." And then like, they picked up stones, right? Like these fist-sized rocks. And they're all like, "Give us your moped." And And I went crazy because they're little kids on bicycles, right? And they're trying to jack my moped with rocks. And I start yelling at them like, where do you live where you can jump people with rocks? I mean, why is that okay? And they're just screaming at me. So I pick up one of their bicycles and throw them. And then they get really freaked out. And then I pick up 2 rocks on myself, and I'm like, you're gonna throw rocks at me? And then they're out of there. So they get their bike and they're pedaling by, and one of them throws rocks at me, right? And I like duck, and the rock lands next to me. But I'm totally pissed. I'm totally out of my mind that these kids are trying to do this. So I get on my moped, I'm like working on it, and then suddenly it works perfectly. And so I'm instantly after the kid who threw the rock at me. And I'm like riding right behind him. And he's pedaling, he's cutting through parking lots, he's cutting down alleys, he's going in between those big cement parking median things. And I'm right behind him, just taunting. I'm like, where are you going? I have an engine. Where you think you're gonna outrun me? And he's just screaming and crying, and like we're racing. And he starts racing towards Wendy's, right? And he's racing for the door. He thinks if he gets inside, then there's no way this guy's gonna murder him. So he's running, he throws his bicycle down and he's running, he grabs the door, and it's locked because they're closed. And he just turns, and like I'm right there in front of him, just revving my engine. And then like his brothers come running up, and they're like, all of them are sobbing at this point, just sobbing. And they're like, just begging me not to murder this kid. And I'm like, just get out of here. And they're like, they just took off. It was really fun.
Just in Cincinnati, it's a little bit of a bigger city than Kalamazoo. There's a lot more like urban areas, ghettos, projects. And Casey and I used to live right downtown, right in an area called Over the Rhine, which is like the ghetto of Cincinnati. When there were riots last year, that's where they were. And our mopeds would regularly disappear, or just we'd find them a block away, because like 15-year-old kids would just grab them and try to take them, but they wouldn't start. So it was just a regular form of civilian harassment. Every time we went anywhere in that part of town, everyone would yell at us, yell all sorts of stuff. And we really hoped that the mopeds wouldn't break down, because it'd probably be bad. But haven't really had a lot of civilian harassment other than just people yelling, like maybe. And a lot of times it's just, can I buy that, or let me buy that, or get off that, let me have it.
The problem is that you're dealing with these kids who are like 10 years old. I mean, they steal your moped, you get it back, but then nothing ever happens to them. Plus, I mean, you can't like beat them up. I mean, they're 10 years old. What are you gonna do? And they have tons of attitude. They don't have any remorse for it. And I mean, I was riding down the street the other day, and this kid comes running at me like he's gonna steal my moped. And then I start to take off, and he's like screaming at me, why don't you come ride that on the north side? And I mean, this kid's like 12 years old. He's threatening that I should come ride it in his neighborhood. It's weird, because you get the people who seem to love them enough to steal them, and you get the people that hate them enough to yell at you and throw stuff at you as you're riding. So,
if there's a group of kids, if they're holding things, they will throw those things at you, almost indiscriminately.
I think I've had like rocks thrown at me, like full cans of beer and stuff thrown at me off of porches, like kids, like the college kids sit on their porches and drink beer, and they throw beer cans at you and stuff.
I've had like beer bottles and rocks and things thrown at me.
I had some kind of a can, maybe like a corn can with no more corn in it, thrown at me. I think I had a shoe thrown at me, and I kept the shoe for a little while, and then I let go of it because it is a dirty, nasty shoe. But I had some things thrown at me.
The best story is probably when, who was it? I guess it was actually, it was John Wagner. Someone threw a basketball at him as he was on his moped, and he caught it, cut it up with his switchblade, threw back the deflated ball at him, and that's probably my favorite story.
I've had more just yelling, taunting, and I don't really know what they were saying. I assume they were calling out that my moped is awesome.
We have barbecue twice a year, Memorial and Labor Day. And the nice thing about that is it's really regular. Everyone's got the day off work, and it's been bigger and better every year. So.
showed me, yeah.
Yeah.
And the one on the other side is just a standard bicycle thing.
The normal Moped 50s have like a 55 or 54 tooth rear sprocket.
Oh, much bigger than that.
Oh yeah,
That's
huge.
probably like the Batavus.
That's what I'd have been the shit out of this to make it. You don't want to be crushing against it.
The first barbecue was more like what we refer to now as the repair days, which come the weekend before the barbecue, where we all get together and work on mopeds. The idea was there were tons of people in town with mopeds, but they were all busted down. And so get everyone together for a day, make it an event. All the people that know how to work on mopeds help everyone out who doesn't, and get as many bikes running as we could. So from that, it's kind of evolved. Nowadays, we try to get a lot of them running the weekend before during the repair days. And that way, the barbecue itself is more like there's some repair going on, but it's more of a showcase. And then it's just more of like a gathering to show off the mopeds and get as many as we can in one spot and have fun.
It's getting less and less about the repairing of mopeds because we're trying to get more mopeds repaired before the barbecue so we can just ride around and have fun the day of.
It's really exciting to see all the bikes everywhere, and it's just that perfect kind of messy organization, and like just it's organized, everybody knows what they're doing, everybody has a role, all the bikes are lined up and set up, but it's definitely chaotic because every bike has just many different people coming back and forth working on it, and there's tools everywhere, so it's very messy, but it's kind of unified.
This is definitely the first one I've been to, and I'll probably come back next year if I'm still riding mopeds. It was a 5-6 hour drive. We put 6 mopeds in the back of a minivan by taking front tires off, and came up from Cincinnati. We tried to have one in Cincinnati, but nobody came down, but it was still fun because there were 7 of us riding around. But I'll probably come back next year.
I've been to all of the barbecues thus far. I hope to continue the tradition. The food and the mopeds, and of course all the pretty ladies.
Mopeds. I'm a Decepticon, and as a Decepticon, the one possibly required event would be the barbecue/race.
The races always have crazy stories. Like running, almost getting hit by ambulances, things like that during the race. All this very illegal kind of controlled insanity or whatever.
I think that since we've been doing flyers, I've handed out flyers every moped barbecue. And it's interesting because some people come up slowly and casually take the flyer and thank you. Some people have this like war-torn look on their face, and they zoom by at top speed. They pick up the flyer and stick it in their teeth and keep going, and you just feel like it's right there. It's the difference between just getting through quickly and getting through so slowly is life and death.
The no rules race was just the most fun I've ever had in my entire life, so I couldn't make the last one on the last Labor Day one, but I knew I had to make this one.
Every time we have them, they get bigger. And more people come out just to be spectators than actually work on bikes.
Besides that, Jen Weber got hit by a van. That was pretty funny. That was last barbecue. That wasn't funny, that was sad, but.
They got like some reactors or something.
Chad got second. He took off because the police were after him. Who got third? Tom, Blue Shirt Holiday got third.
Why does he keep getting third?
He's got the skills. Simon got fourth. I got fifth. Miguel got sixth. Anna got seventh.
You could just see the heat.
I lose track.
I beat these guys. Oh shit! I dropped my orange. In your face!
And then I was stuck behind an ambulance and I couldn't go around it because I didn't have enough time and I didn't want to speak through it. So I had, And then I still caught up with you guys because I was like just behind you guys by the time you got here.
All these places. Over in industrial waste good. I was following that one chick. She lost me.
I took this down to Westnedge onto Level, Davis up to the barbecue pit, back Davis, down around Moped Manor, cut to the parking lot, up Academy, grab the flyer. Yeah, won.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Everyone thought Dave won, but it was actually me. I was going to the bathroom and I missed it.
7th place. Way to go. You finished though. You didn't have to pedal.
Yeah.
Didn't have to pedal.
I must beat you.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm so fast.
But you didn't. Did you? Did you beat me?
I think it was a conspiracy because he actually got back like a minute after everybody left, so I think he had the flyers in his pocket. But don't tell him that.
All right.
Hey, that would be pass it off.
Okay, everybody. Race results. Giving his trophy back from first place last time. Dave. Second place after some repair will go to Chad Burke, who took off. So those guys don't come back and yell at him. And Chad. Tom for the Blue Shirt Holiday. Yeah. I want to announce 3 new members of the Decepticons that are official as of today. We have Eric back there. And Allison in the green shirt back there. And Emily. That's it.
Let's tear this place down.
Well, in Cincinnati, I know there are a lot of people who maybe aren't as interested as I am or was originally, but they say, you know, if you find me a moped, you know, I'll buy it. And people like that are interested. And I think through that, I mean, we've just been consistently growing down there. I really can't say how it is up here or other places. I don't know. I know that a lot of new branches, people have tried to start new branches. So apparently it's growing that way. But like I said, in Cincinnati, we've grown from 0 to 7. And we're still growing. I know people that are looking for mopeds right now wanting to join in Cincinnati.
I think that people in other cities are partially excited about it because there's a really big branch here in Kalamazoo and obviously very active, and it was started here. And I think it's always exciting when you're into something that other people aren't into around you and you find out that somewhere somebody is just as excited about it. I think it makes it even more exciting because it's like the special thing that you understand that suddenly other people understand too, and they're far away and you can, you know, go visit with them, and it's this huge thing.
What would be awesome is if there were enough branches that is, you know, throughout the U.S. that it's easy for any branch to be able to ride to another, the hometown of another branch, like either on mopeds or haul their mopeds there reasonably, and then it'd be like a network of mopeders so that, you know, if anyone is interested in mopeds, like I get emails from people all the time. It's like they want to be in a branch, they want to be a part of it, but there isn't a branch in their area, and they don't know anyone that rides mopeds, and they, you know, so ideally there'll be branches close enough that like different events can happen, that people can go all over the U.S.
This is new. There's nothing been done like this before, so this has like a real future. Something could happen in 5 years or 10 years from now that this could be, you know, really popular.
We have different classifications of members, and one of them is a scout. And so the idea is that if you leave the home city where your branch was formed, you're a scout with the idea that you're forming a new branch wherever you go.
I can see myself not living here, not being a Decepticon, but my own personal plan is if and when I leave Kalamazoo, then I'm going to start a branch wherever I am and hopefully leave a growing moped community, you know, wherever I go.
What I like about the Moped Army is that people get really excited. I've never met someone that rode a moped that didn't instantly want to buy one. So I want to have quite a few mopeds so that when I graduate, get my job somewhere, I can constantly grab, you know, people that I meet wherever I live, you know, new friends, and get them riding.
It's gotten to the point where it's bigger than what it was when it was originally started, and it's beyond any of the control of any of the founding members.
It keeps getting bigger, which it constantly amazes all of us because Simon's always talking to people and the Moped Army is always adding different branches.
Like there's people who came out from South Dakota, people who came up from Ohio. This is a serious part of people's lives. And like I said, with that instant community, the connections are instant and meaningful. So I have a feeling that it'll continue on like that. The national support is what's going to keep it going. I don't know if the events like the barbecue will continue to be this active, but like a web, there's going to be more and more branches.
Our website's like the definitive moped site on the internet now as far as like information and history and resources and everything, and so it's pretty cool. Like the worldwide response to that has been cool.
I am really excited to see like all of this grow from Simon, Brennan, and myself, like 3 people, and there was something like 60 bikes here today, and I don't know, I'm really excited and proud, I guess.